My husband raised a glass in front of 300 guests and said marrying me was like buying stock in my father's company. Then, before the whole room could breathe, he laughed and called me a useless princess at my own family gala. The ballroom of the old hacienda in Guadalajara went silent. The band stopped in the middle of a song. Waiters froze with trays of tequila and appetizers in their hands. My mother turned pale. My father did not move, but I saw his jaw tighten the way it did when someone had crossed a line. I stood beside the head table in an emerald green dress, smiling the way you smile when your body has not accepted the humiliation yet. Ivan Cortez, my husband of 3 years, held his glass with the arrogant confidence I had once mistaken for charm. He was a corporate attorney, 45 years old, polished, sharp, the kind of man who could enter a room and make people believe he belonged in charge. That night, he had already had too much to drink, and the alcohol stripped the manners off his cruelty. To Don Arturo Valdez, he said, dragging the words, for teaching us that Mexican farmland really does make money, especially when you marry his daughter. A few people gave nervous laughs. They were not laughing because it was funny. They were laughing because powerful people make silence dangerous. Yvonne kept going. Renata does not work too hard, does she? She goes to her gallery, arranges paintings, drinks coffee, and comes home to spend daddy's money. But I guess someone had to bring a little style to this family of tractors. My face burned. This was the 50th anniversary gala for Valdez Machinery, the company my father built selling agricultural equipment across Jalisco, Michoacán, and the Bajío. There were business owners, politicians, longtime employees, and family friends in the room. My husband had turned me into the joke of the evening. Then a firm hand touched my elbow. Mrs. Valdez, we need to leave. I recognized the suit before I recognized the face. Gabriel Rocha, the most feared divorce and asset litigation attorney in Guadalajara. Nobody hired Gabriel to negotiate nicely. They hired him to win. Your father sent me, he whispered. He knew this might happen tonight. I have been recording for 20 minutes. I stared at him like he was speaking another language. What? And now I have what you need to destroy him. He led me out through a side door while Yvonne kept talking inside, laughing at his own poison. Outside, the air smelled like bougainvillea and fireworks that had not started yet. I could barely breathe. To understand why those words shattered me, you have to know how it all began. I met Yvonne at a charity auction in Zapopan. He bid on expensive wine, talked about mergers, contracts, and trips to Madrid. I was 29, working part-time at an art gallery because I loved art, not because I needed money. My last name already opened too many doors. I wanted to believe someone could see me, not my family. My father never believed Yvonne did. Before the wedding, he called me into his office and placed a document on his desk. Sign this, sweetheart, he said. It is protection for you. I was thinking about flowers, guest lists, and whether the band should play boleros or modern mariachi. I skimmed the pages, prenuptial agreement, conduct clauses, asset protection. I signed without understanding what it really meant. My father had been playing chess while I was playing the bride in love. At first, Yvonne was sweet. Then a real job. Renata does not understand numbers. She understands colors. Your father should bring me into the company. A serious legal mind would help that place. Then money began disappearing from our joint account. 5,000 pesos here. 12,000 there. 30,000 on a Friday. When I asked, he smiled. They are investments. Do not get involved in things you do not understand. That night, in Gabriel's SUV, the pieces finally formed a picture. He showed me videos of Yvonne in a bar in Providencia telling his friends that marrying me had been his best financial move. Then came the bank statements, sports betting, gambling houses, unpaid debts. More than 900,000 pesos lost in 18 months. The agreement you signed was not decorative, Gabriel said. If he publicly defamed you or used your assets deceptively, he lost any claim to the house, accounts, and marital property. My phone vibrated. It was Yvonne. Do not exaggerate. I was drunk. Come back and stop making a scene. Gabriel looked at the screen. Do not answer. Then another message came in. Your father will not dare touch me. Without me, that company has no legal strategy. Something inside me went cold. What happens now? Gabriel put my phone into a folder. Now you go to your parents' house. Tomorrow we change the locks. Monday we file for separation. And when Yvonne wakes up, he will learn that humiliating you was the most expensive mistake of his life. I slept in my old bedroom, surrounded by school trophies and photos of a girl who still believed love was enough. My mother brought me tea I never drank. My father did not say, I told you so. Somehow, that hurt more. At 9 the next morning, Gabriel returned with 3 folders. There is more, he said. I did not want more, but I listened. Yvonne was married before. To Mariela Cardenas, the daughter of a construction owner in Leon. He opened credit cards in her name, built gambling debt, and disappeared when her father confronted him. He told me he had never been married, I said. He lied. The first folder held the divorce record. The second held the debts. The third held messages where Yvonne talked about getting into Valdez machinery through the family door. My father exhaled slowly. I did not want to break your heart without proof. That is why I prepared protection. You set a trap for me, I said. No, he answered. I built my daughter an exit before the fire started. On Monday, I signed the separation papers. The house in Providencia was in my name, bought through my trust. The car Yvonne drove had been paid from my account. The card he used for gambling was blocked. Gabriel notified the firm where Yvonne worked. By noon, Yvonne had no job. They called it an indefinite leave for ethical review. In elegant legal language, that means leave before we remove you. Yvonne exploded through text messages. Your father ruined me. You will regret this. Without me, you are nobody. I did not answer. I saved every screenshot. On Tuesday, I met Mariela at a cafe in Andars. She was elegant and calm, with an invisible scar in her eyes. Yvonne does not love women, she told me. He loves access. Last names. Bank accounts. Open doors. She told me he had made her feel stupid too, that he said she did not understand money and only had to trust him. When she discovered the debt, he cried, promised therapy, and swore he would change. He did not want to heal, she said. He only wanted more time. She signed a sworn statement for my case. That was the first real blow. My marriage was not a rough patch. It was a predator's pattern. The second blow came on Thursday. Gabriel discovered that Yvonne had tried to use my digital signature to request a line of credit tied to my father's company. That is not just divorce anymore, Gabriel said. That is fraud. On Friday, my father called a meeting with the executives. For the first time, I walked in not as Don Arturo's daughter did. Gabriel played the audio, the statements, and the recording from the gala. Yvonne's voice filled the room again. Marrying Renata was like buying stock. No one laughed this time. When the meeting ended, my father handed me a new folder. Vice President of Strategic Development, he said. Your own office, your own salary, real responsibility. I could not speak. After all this? Because of all this, he said. You have seen what fraud looks like in an expensive suit. Now help me protect what we built. That night, Yvonne appeared at my parents' gate, ruined, sweating, without his tie. Renata, open up. We need to talk. Gabriel was inside, recording again. Say one more threatening word, Gabriel warned, and tomorrow we add harassment to the complaint. Yvonne looked toward the window, and for the first time, I saw fear in his eyes. The separation hearing was not dramatic like in the movies. It was worse, because nobody shouted. There were only documents. Yvonne arrived with a cheap lawyer and the face of a victim, which almost worked until the evidence appeared. He tried to say I was controlled by my father, that my family destroyed him out of class prejudice, and that he had only made marriage mistakes. Gabriel placed the gala recording, the bar videos, the gambling records, Mariela's testimony, and the fraudulent credit request on the table. The judge looked at Yvonne for several seconds. Mr. Cortez, you understand the seriousness of this. Yvonne lowered his eyes. Yes, Your Honor. That was the end of his performance. The prenuptial agreement activated completely. Yvonne gave up any claim to the house, the car, the accounts, and the property acquired during the marriage. He also agreed to repay part of the money he had misused, though we all knew it would take years. The Bar Association opened an ethics investigation. His firm removed him from its website before the week ended. But the moment that marked me most did not happen in court. It happened when his mother called. Renata, my son is destroyed. He has nowhere to live. He is 45 years old, I said. He is your husband. He was my husband when he could use me. Now he is just a man facing consequences. I hung up without shaking. Months later, the divorce was final. I sold the house in Providencia because every wall smelled like a lie. I bought an apartment near La Minerva, with big windows and plants no one else would move around. My mother insisted on helping me decorate. She wanted too many pillows. This time, I let her. I started working at Valdez Machinery on a Monday at 8 in the morning. Some employees looked at me like I was office decoration. Others remembered the gala and lowered their voices when I passed. I did not blame them. For years, I had introduced myself as someone who did not want to take up space. That changed quickly. I reviewed contracts, found inflated suppliers, and proposed a new parts distribution route through Michoacán and Guanajuato. In 4 months, we saved more than 7 million pesos. My father cried when I presented the results. That is my daughter. I realized I had waited years to hear that not as comfort, but as respect. Mariella and I became friends. Sometimes we drank coffee and laughed at the absurdity of loving the same disaster in a different suit. She told me something I kept. The shame was never ours. It was his. He just made us carry it for a while. Yvonne tried to come back 3 times. First with apologies. Then with threats. Then with pity. The last time, he wrote, "Without you, I lost everything." I answered once. "No. Without me, you lost someone to pay for your lies." Then I blocked him. His life came apart like a cheap suit in the rain, suspended license, creditors calling, friends disappearing, his name whispered in rooms where he once bragged about power. I saw him once from my car, leaving a sporting goods store in Zapopan wearing an employee uniform. I felt no joy. I felt no guilt. Only a strange peace, like watching a storm finally move away. A year later, we held another anniversary gala. This time, I helped coordinate the event. There was no open bar. My mother said that was excessive. My father said it was strategy. I said it was a lesson learned. I stepped onto the stage to speak about agricultural innovation and the future of the company. In front of me were business owners, technicians, farmers, and workers who had known my father since he was young. I took a deep breath. For a long time, I thought my value depended on who chose me, I said. Now I know my value is in what I build and in what I refuse to allow. My father stood and applauded. Then my mother. Then the whole room. That night, I was not the humiliated wife. I was not the spoiled princess. I was Renata Valdez. I was a vice president, a daughter, a divorced woman, and a survivor of a man who thought my last name was a ladder. He thought he had married a door to wealth. Instead, he opened the door I used to walk out of his shadow. Sometimes betrayal does not come to destroy you. Sometimes it arrives dressed for a gala, with a glass in its hand, and forces you to remember who you were before you started asking permission to shine.